right. Welcome, everybody. We are so excited because we actually have a special version of the Monday Reset call today. Thankfully, we had our very first Legacy Blueprint event last Friday, and many of you were there. And for those of you who were not able to be there, we missed you. And it was really exciting. The Vision team actually just had a little meeting a few minutes ago just to talk about all the things that went well and systems for next year and all of that. So thank you for every single person who was able to be a part of it, who wished us well, who shared it with people. Every single person here with your wishes and your actions made last Friday possible, and we could not have done it without you. So thank you. And we thought today we would take the time just to go through and have a conversation about what the top takeaways and actions were from Friday, so that if you were in attendance, it's a review for you. So it just can continue to help accelerate what your 2026 looks like, and you can get into planning and action around that. And if you weren't there, you get the benefit of some of the top takeaways from being in the room. So I am going to quickly just have my panel of people introduce themselves and talk a little bit about themselves, their business, and one fun fact about themselves that I did not prepare them for that. So I'll let them go in the order that you cannot use eggs as your answer. So we're going to go ahead and let whoever wants to go first start, and then we'll just work our way through everyone else.
Should I go first?
Go for it.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Pamela Hernandez. I have been licensed for 2 years. My heart is with the Hispanic community, so that is a very big chunk of my market. I am also the first point of contact for families that are relocating from different countries and are starting their work life here in Charlotte. So it gives me a very interesting perspective. I was one of those, so I get to lead with empathy. And honestly, one of the biggest takeaways fun fact? Should I do a fun fact?
Right now,
Okay.
we're introducing everyone.
Just fun fact. Okay, fun fact. I am obsessed with succulents.
Thank you so much. And Sherelle, could you go next?
I will go. So I'm Sherelle. I've been licensed for 6 months and I'm with KW Preferred in Columbia, South Carolina. Fun fact is I bodybuild. I guess it's not really a fun fact, but it is. I like to work out.
But you make it look easy. And all the rest of us are like, go for it.
Yeah, that.
Awesome. If you haven't gone and looked at all her bodybuilding pictures, they will literally blow you away. It's amazing what she's accomplished in that area.
I did an exercise plan. Perfect. Reach out to Sherelle for an exercise plan.
All right, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Jen. I got my license in 2023, so I've been an agent since then. I started as a dual career agent. So I just started real estate full-time basically this year, but I was dual career before then. I am out of the KW Connected office in Fort Mill. And a fun fact about me is I lived overseas. So we used to live in Europe. So I've traveled around the world and I've seen a lot of different countries.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we just got eggs out of her chicken.
She just got eggs.
Whatever, chicken.
My chicken coop.
Chicken coop. I'm learning. Ashley?
I'm laughing because all I heard was I just got eggs out of her chicken.
I didn't even pick them up out of the coop. It was her.
She held the door for me.
But I'm Ashley Biggins. I have been licensed since 2023 as well, so just over 2 years. And I got my license when my baby was just 3 months old. So I actually took virtual classes when he was a baby. So that's a fun fact. And then I serve the York County, Union County area specifically, some of Mecklenburg County, and I am out of the Ballantyne office for Keller Williams.
Awesome. Well, I am grateful for so many of you who said yes to sharing your top takeaways. And for many of you that are on, you also have some. So this is going to be a very open conversation. We're going to have conversations, and then we invite you to participate as well, because we know several of you who are on now were there on Friday. So let's go ahead and just start overall. What was your favorite part of the experience of being there on Friday at the very first Blueprint?
My favorite part was getting to meet different people, especially from outside of Charlotte. I think there was probably 4 or 5 of you guys from Columbia that were at my table.
Yes.
Columbia, South Carolina.
Not Columbia, the country. Yeah.
Not Columbia, the country. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was quite cool. The people from outside of my area. That's what I liked.
I would have to say the same thing, Sandra. My heart was full just with the new connections made and the deepened connections made with people that I'd met before. That was my favorite part.
I love that you guys shared that, because one of the things that was very important to me, because I have attended so many things before in the industry over the past 12 years, it was very important for me that you all left with closer or new bonds with people that are like-minded that you did not have before you came in the room. So to hear you guys say that means that we did that well, which matters to me.
Piggybacking off that, the vibe was exactly that. Just
Yeah.
like everyone was providing support and felt supported. And you know, when you walk into a room and you feel like you got to be like the best version of yourself because you're being looked at or judged or something, like that room felt like you could be yourself and you could cry because you're being yourself. It felt supportive, and that was nice.
Well, I'm glad that you guys felt comfortable crying.
I agree with that. And it was also good to see some faces that I hadn't seen in a while. Like I was super excited to see like Whitney, for example. I hadn't seen Whitney in a while. So I was like, Whitney. And she and I kind of talked afterward just because we hadn't seen each other. So that was also fun.
Okay.
I agree. I also loved meeting Alice in person as well after having her on a call. That was really cool. And just seeing like her heart and hearing her share and just seeing how her values align so much with you, Sandra, and what the Legacy Collaborative is all about. I think she was just a great addition to the event as well.
Yeah. And I don't know if anybody did you guys see her shoes?
Yes.
They were like sneakers / high heel. And I'm like obsessed. I was showing my husband yesterday, and then I went online to look it up, and I'm like, I don't know. Can I pull these off? These are like so. She said she has that. They're like for tax purposes, they're lead gen, and it's a lead gen expense because everybody she meets asks her about her shoes. And I was like, justification for purchase, maybe.
Britt just typed that they're the Spanx lady shoes.
They are. I forgot what they're called. Anyway, but super cool.
Very important, Jeff, that you know about the Spanx lady
You
shoes.
should
Okay?
get some, Jeff. Like seriously.
Do I get
That
to
would
ride off my
greatly
guns?
benefit you.
Right off.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you guys enjoyed the keynote. She is near and dear to my heart. We've been friends for a long time, and I really love what she's created. And the great thing is the specific exercise that she did in the room with everyone was not one that I yet have seen her facilitate. So I was able to kind of sit back there and think about it from my perspective as well. And one of the things that we're going to be very intentional about throughout building the Legacy Collaborative ongoing is that we are mindful about how each other's natural gifts that they have the ability to give or connect someone with can fulfill the ask or the needs of the other people that are a part of it. So that's not the end of that conversation for those of you who were a part of it. For those of you who were not, we had a section where Alice Daly, who was the keynote, helped everyone identify one way we can celebrate with them, one thing that they would like to ask for or want to be connected with, and one way that they can give or one thing that they can give to others. And then we put all of that on the wall. And so that will be a natural part of what we continue to integrate. And I love how inspired people shared they were for them to continue doing that in all of the ways they're going to create community. Love that. All right. So what are the personal top takeaways that you got when you're thinking about the one word mission statement, impossible goal? I'd love to dive deeper for you guys specifically into what you got out of that first part of the day. Whoever wants to go first.
Did you want to go, Pamela?
Is that okay?
Go for it.
Okay. So from the early morning, I think the biggest thing that stood out to me is that, and I really enjoyed that, most of us shared values. And I think that's what made the room feel so special, right? Means we're also leading our businesses in the same way, and that's why we are able to collaborate, because our values are aligned. The one thing that I took of the most was that when I look back at my 2026, I am going to feel so proud of myself because my top 5 values are going to be reflected both in my bank account and in my calendar. Because the biggest thing for me for that day, I was already very clear from the day before about where I wanted my business to go. So I knew the numbers. What stood out to me was the holistic approach. It's not just the numbers, it's the people that are in your life, how you're prioritizing your health and your well-being, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And so doing this exercise, putting down what truly is important for me, how I want to be seen and what I want to put out in the world was very important. It needs to go together.
Do you have what your values were? Just so people who maybe weren't in the room, or if they're revisiting theirs, they can really attach it to exactly what yours looked like.
Yeah. So I started with love, but on the side, I put love for God, family, friends, and community. I don't think you can do anything without love. So love should be the driver, right? So I put that. Then I put empathy. I consider myself a very empathetic person, and that's how I like to treat others. Integrity. Then comes balance. That's where I hope it's going to really reflect on my calendar. And the last that I put was joy, because if I'm doing all of these things, I know I'm going to feel that. And that's the one thing you cannot buy.
Mhm.
Thank you. Those are so good. So if you're here, whether you're reflecting on your day on Friday or whether you're hearing this for the first time or listening to the recording, I would recommend that you think through what are your top values. And if anybody else here that's on the panel has something to share about what your values were or what that morning looked like for you, I would love for you to share it.
One thing that I wrote down in the value section as well, because I took a lot away from this as well. Well, let me back up. First of all, I love the way that we narrowed it down. We checked off, our top 10, and then what someone had said is, is there one of these things that if you don't have it, like can the others exist and things like that. So it really helped me kind of put them together. But mine were family, love, integrity, generosity, and peace. And I'm really learning the peace portion of it. Kind of like you were saying, Pamela, that's something that you can't necessarily buy. And so I believe it was Carlin. She said the gap between our values and our bank account or our calendar is the space to make goals. And I loved that because, we all can look at our bank account and it may not be where we want it to be. We want to be extra generous, or our calendar doesn't show the balance that we need. And so I know for me personally, as I'm looking at next year, I'm looking at ways where those gaps are so that I can readjust my calendar to help me be more in alignment with my values.
I love that. Who else?
So for me, I think the portion of the morning that really stuck with me was the exercise what we did at our table that talked about the one word for the year. And my one word was overflow. But also we expounded on it and why we chose that one word and how we're going to remind ourselves of that one word. And that really spoke to me. And I think it did because not because of me, but because what the people around me were discussing. It's like, well, we're just all normal. Like this is normal for us to feel or not feel the way we feel, and then determine how we want to move forward in this year, given that one word that was important to us.
Thank you. That's such a powerful word. And I know that you shared that you actually felt that word represented in the room. So
Yes,
I love
definitely.
Yeah, what I really loved about that values exercise was that we had the opportunity to, number one, is sit down and look at which words we thought ours, like Ashley mentioned, like we started with the top 10, but then we in small groups kind of talked about our words with each other. And I thought that was really great because one of the words I had before was happiness. And then as I was chatting with one of my partners there in the conversation, it was like, okay, well, we kind of dissected the difference between like joy and happiness. And she had great insight because she was like, happiness can be in the moment. Like I'm happy because this happened, or I'm happy because I got this. And she's like, but joy is something that lives inside of you, even when you're sad. Like you can still be joyful. And it really like touched me. And I was like, oh, and it just opened up my eyes. So when we were having like throughout the entire day, as we were meeting in these smaller groups, I really got something out of every single one of those sessions that was either a light bulb, an aha moment, or something that I could reflect on later on. But I think as we were going through our values, like my words were, faith, family, joy, patience, and balance. But I think if you were to poll everybody that was there that day, probably we all have 3 of the 5 that are the same, which kind of brings us all in alignment, which makes the community so special because we all have the same beliefs. And then it takes away the competition part. You know what I mean? Even if you're serving the same area and you're in the same market, you're still like, we can be there and actually collaborate, cheer each other on, and support each other, and not feel that pressure of there's a competition piece because it's non-existent. And that's what I really love. You don't have to gatekeep. Like you can totally just talk about what you're doing and it's okay.
One of the things that I didn't talk about at all is my 3 words that I wanted the whole day to stand for. And they were that I cared about people loving each other, leading each other, and then lifting others outside of just those relationships. And so when I just heard you talking and the experience you were having, and for the rest of you too, it made me think about the fact that that is what happened, even though I didn't talk about it specifically that way. And I'm really grateful that all of you guys created that environment and that that's who you are, is your leaders, your lifters of others. You care about creating that in all of your relationships. And I think that's something really special. So I'm grateful for that. All right. Are there other parts of the morning that you guys really wanted to share about? Or do you think that's what stood out to you the most? You good?
So I got one more.
Okay.
So that lead exercise, that took a good amount of time, but it really caused us to stop and think in different areas of how we currently get leads, what we're doing to align with them, how we're elevating, and then how we're giving back. That really, because it spoke more than just how we can increase our volume or increase our GCI. It was more than that. And that really stood out to me. I guess I just had so many different favorites. I'm not going to say it was my best part. I had a lot of best parts, but the lead exercise really, really caused me to think.
And I don't think we mentioned the impossible goal. So it was very encouraging to hear other people talk about their impossible goal and be like, you can totally accomplish this.
Yeah.
This is not an impossible goal. You could definitely do this. Like, I can see you accomplishing this. And it just made me reframe my impossible goal and breaking it down to what would have to happen for you to even get there in the short term, because we did do that. We did break that down. That together with the lead exercise, it really does set a plan in motion, which was ultimately the goal, right? You have specific items that you could tackle and put into your action plan, into your 411 or your GPS, whatever it is that you're doing, and actually start heading towards accomplishing that goal. Yeah, you've made me a believer in the possible goal.
Now, Pamela, let me ask, because I know it happened to me, but listening to everybody's impossible goal when we were in the room, did it make you think bigger about yours?
Oh, yes,
It
definitely.
totally made me think bigger about mine. I mean, there
Yeah.
was
100%.
stuff that came out from the back of my head that I was like, you know what, let me write that down. And
I
so,
did.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And that was an amazing part.
And I also wrote down a couple of other people's goals that were, I think Melissa was the one that said she wanted to have like art gallery spaces around the world. I thought
Yeah.
that was so cool. I thought Melanie's, I really think if I could support one that's close to my heart, like I'm gonna have a conversation with her honestly and see, I would love to be a part of her goal, like I would love to find a way to either cheer her on or contribute to her making that happen because it's so altruistic. It's close to my heart, but I also think it is so needed in the world. Like so many altruistic goals that were in the room and that were mentioned. Yeah, there was so much. I kept going back and writing down.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, it made me think bigger about my goal. So I wrote down one that was like in the back of my head that I kind of always thought I want to do, but then I was like, I could totally do this. And so this Sunday I was like thinking about how do I approach my pastor, because my one of my impossible goals is to have a foundation or a program that helps teen moms who have maybe are thinking about dropping out of high school or already have get a college degree. And so I'm like, how do I, because I am a teen mom and I did drop out of high school and I did end up going to college and I have a master's degree. So I can totally empathize with that and that struggle and being in their shoes. So then this Sunday I was like, how do I approach my pastor with this? How do we start small with just like a group at church? And then how do I get people behind it? And then how do I? So, I mean, that was one big thing that I kind of left inspired with, because it's always kind of been like way in the back of my head, but I never wrote it down. I was like, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like your goal is much more than selling 20 houses a year. That's not
right.
And that's what
right.
This exercise took us outside of that mindset. And that's what I
It
love.
definitely made us, like you said, Jen, it definitely made, I can't speak for everybody, but it definitely made me feel like I wasn't dreaming big enough. Like, why am I limiting myself? And then what I really appreciated were, one, I appreciated that there was not all women in the room, right? We could say that because it was one guy and there were
Two.
that's right. Two. But I appreciate that it wasn't like a huge group of people, so you couldn't connect with people, but we were able to share commonalities in our goals and dreams, or have other people that either knew us or didn't would look at us and be like, hey, no, you can do that. You can totally do that. Why would you think that you can't? So it just made you stretch yourself a little bit more and say, yeah, I can walk away building new impossible goals for myself.
I believe
And for those of us that are building our reading list, the book, this comes from the book of The Science of Scaling, and Britt found it on Spotify, so we can listen to it.
Yes.
I love that.
And he's actually a great reader too. So one of the things I'll say about how much you guys inspired me around the impossible goal is I knew for many of you already what you care about giving back to, but because I know some of your stories and what you've been working on before the event, it was really awesome for me to see your lids lifted. And even Alice said to me, wow, like this is literally a room full of people that are up to a bigger mission. And I knew that about people individually, but to have someone that doesn't already have a relationship with people in the room observe that was really special to me to think about. To your point, Pamela, when everyone is supporting each other, what does this look like? And how big of an impact can be made when everyone is helping put the puzzle pieces together for the way that everyone was designed to serve?
one thing that I kept hearing over and over again is just clarity and connection. Those are two things that really came out of the event. One, the way that you structured everything and the way that we were able to really dive into these big topics like the impossible goals. And that really just gave a lot of clarity on how to move forward. Like Pamela was saying, the 12-month milestone, the 90-day focus, the 7-day bold steps, and then the I call my shot, what am I going to do in 24 hours? That was just a really great exercise on how do we make this happen long term. It's not just something that we're saying, but we can put some action behind it to make it happen. One thing that was really cool too is when people were sharing their impossible goals or any aspect really of this was to hear the heart in everyone that was in the room. And it gave us opportunities to learn how we can support other people or creating those Me Too moments like what Alice talked about in her speech too. Like I really loved that. Nicole was hesitant, and she'd be fine with me sharing this, but at first she was hesitant of sharing all of her stuff. We know, like, their goal of, wanting to get the castle in France and all of this fun stuff, but she dug deeper and it was really cool to hear her heart because, I've met her in person and we've been around each other, but to hear her heart in it and wanting to do the things with art, making it a community space and like really just loving on the community that she's going to be a part of. And then for her to hear Melissa say, I'm going to have art galleries all over the world. Like that's what happens when you get in a room with other like-minded people. You may not have the same goals, but you may find someone else that has a similar goal. Mm-hmm. For all we know, that could become a partnership later. And that's what networking is all about. Especially you want to do business and do things with people that have like-mindedness and a heart like what you have for giving back. That was really cool.
And for people who are, because I'm more of like a tactical person, the great thing is that this wasn't just like a day of dreams and big picture. Like we actually put work in to write it down so we know what we need to do next year. So like that's a big takeaway, right? Because sometimes it can be like, oh, it's just like, high level talking, which that's part of it. But then like, okay, now let's narrow it down. So this is what you want. So how are we going to get you there in steps? Because, you can't, I can't have a foundation in a year, but I can start with baby steps and get there. And so that's what this, like that impossible goal, the second part of it was like, okay, let's break it down into tiny achievable steps of what you need to do so that you do have a plan on what we're going to start with. Not even start next year. It's like literally stuff we can start like this week.
Exactly. Because it went down into the 7-day bold step. I wrote mine down. It's Monday. I already accomplished what I put down in that square, and it just gives me the motivation to make sure that I finish it by this week, and that's going to set the momentum for next year. So it's not even about 2026. Wait till 2026. The mindset is here. The actions are going into place. I know exactly what I need to do.
Well, I love that. I do want to give people, Lourdes, I'm so glad you're here. I do want to give people who are not technically on the panel, but many people were there, a chance for a moment to share anything that you got out of the morning, even if it sounds repetitive, because I'm grateful that you chose to be here and invest your time, and we're going to have ongoing opportunities for that. But anybody who wants to share from their morning, we've had a few share in the chat, but go ahead and share what you got out of it, and then we're going to move on to the afternoon or the VIP dinner.
Or even if you have questions, like if you weren't there and you have a question about something.
I can share. I've done so many personal development events. Like it's been in my wheelhouse for the past 10 years. And this one was just, Sandra, what you pulled together was beyond. Like it was just such a high level intentional event, and like everything everyone's saying, but just like the writing it down, the deep dive to get to our word of the year, not just, okay, everyone come up with your word of the year. It's like, we're going to word cloud, we're going to workshop, we're going to talk about what's important to us. And I don't think I would have come up with my word of the year if we hadn't gone through that work. I would have said something else. And it was so impactful. And that's how every single step of the way was, and to really walk away with a plan, but not just a plan full of heart. And it just, the contagion of the room was really just love and leadership and faith. And, you know, everyone's already said it, but it's just, it was so palpable. Being in the room, like there was no time. We were just like, it just felt like being just.
The time went by super fast for me. I was telling Sandra, I was like, I can't believe how fast it went.
It did. And it just kind of felt like we were all one collective, like hive mind, just because everything was so congruent, like all of our, it just, everyone's heart just was on the same energetic wavelength. And it's just so beautiful. And I'm so unbelievably proud to have been in that room. So thank you so much for putting that together.
Of course.
And I have a lot of social media to do because I hadn't even posted anything yet. I'm going to be on it.
On top of that, if I can I? Just talking about one of the reasons that this was so different. When you hear business planning, you immediately think numbers. Sandra was like, don't worry, I'm not going to make you do numbers. And it makes sense. Why? Because each of the people here have different goals and have different businesses and have different opportunities and are in different markets. And we cannot go through the numbers for the entire room, right? But she did touch on the numbers, and everyone should have a clear idea of what they need to account for. I just want to give you the opportunity to let others know how they could also dig into their numbers with you, Sandra, if that's okay with you.
And I did email everyone. Hopefully everyone got the email that was at the event. When I offered standing up there that I would spend a few more minutes with every one of you that wanted to dive into that specific to your goals. I meant it. So make sure if you didn't read the email that went out post-event that you do. So everyone gets 15 minutes with me to identify anything they needed at that high level number that they needed to for free just for attending the event by responding to that email. But also we have a couple of things coming up. And everyone who knows me before this event knows that people know me for numbers. So everyone was probably like shocked that we didn't waste time in that. But
Now open up your Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, we didn't do that.
No, we didn't. So also there will be a 1-hour session that's going to be planned for everyone who attended to dive into the numbers part a little bit deeper. So you feel 150% clear on that piece of your business plan, as well as we already had, thankfully, the 3 free 1-hour sessions that were available for elite coaching that usually costs $497. People already raised their hand for those 3. So I'll be in touch with everyone who put that on the form that was filled out at the event. However, there is always an opportunity to do a one hour session with me and have a 90-day plan. And also we have group coaching. So there were quite a few people, and I always dive into the numbers planning business side of it for 1 hour every month in the Legacy Lab. So if you didn't already notify us on there that you have interest in that and Elite is not yet right for you, feel free to participate in that. And also we have really great speakers on these Monday Reset calls. So if you're just like, I really am all in, I love the collaborative, I want to be a part of this, and I want the education and the community of these great people, just put this Zoom link on your calendar every Monday from 1 to 2 and jump on it. And then you can see the recordings when I post them. And I have a really good financial one that still needs to get posted because I was preparing for the event. So it will be shared. So there are lots of opportunities for that. Thank you for bringing that up, Pamela. And I'm glad that I pleasantly surprised everyone by not bogging you down with numbers for 5 hours. That was very on purpose because of what I've seen people get lost in the sauce in before. And I just care about it being specific and curated to you and you not to be confused and feeling like you should know more about numbers than the person next to you and then shut down. Don't ask me how I know that happens. All right. So let's talk about the afternoon. And Sherelle, whoever went to the lead section, I think it was you, Sherelle, we kind of went to that place earlier, but I really want to dive in there. And lead is the business plan part of it, right? And this is the actionable creation of your business part of the year that depending on what your personality and what your desire is for your business, you can create a really amazing plan for your business and how you're going to lead it. And we combined personal and business leverage ideas in this. And we combined events and every other kind of legion. And this was really for you to be able to choose and inspire each other. And you all shared some really great ideas when you were sharing around this as well. So I'd love to dive into the lead section specifically and any key takeaways that you had from the keynote speaker as well, other than the experience that she created in the room.
So for anyone that wasn't in the room, right, the lead exercise was L was lead, how you generate leads. Elevate was systems and experience. So what type of systems or experience you create for your clients, and then aligning them. How do you align it with people and partnerships? So whether that be vendors, business to business. And then donate was how you leave a legacy and impact the community or anyone around you. And so we were able to create a 1 to 4 list, 1 to 4 end list for each category, and identify areas that we thought would work best for us to help us in those areas and how we would measure it. And I think it was amazing. It was amazing. I actually like built goals outside of those areas that we built for my 411. So it really helped me like dial it in. But yeah, I like the leads exercise.
Awesome. I'm so glad. And Jen just said that she did the same thing. Thank you, Leska. Oh, she's gone. She had to go. Okay. Okay. I love that. What else did you guys get out of that section or out of the keynote?
I actually took a lot, and you provided these printouts. You can't see them. Never mind. I actually stopped looking at the individual agent strategies and started looking at the team strategies, and I started looking at the other business strategies that kind of like helped me think outside the box, but also made me realize that I have so much in common with other businesses that if I align properly with them, we could do it together. Like if we're going after the same market, we should be able to collaborate. So I loved this. The one thing that you did mention is that not all of it is there. I did want to go back to prioritizing my database. So it's not all of it. It is definitely not all of it, but we have so many options. Sometimes, as what happens to me is that I have so many options that I start doing a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and then I get lost. And breaking it down to only 4, you only put 4 spaces. That's it. 4 spaces, and that's it. Truly, that's all we could possibly get done.
Do well.
Do well. And if we're doing it, we're going to be successful. So actionable.
I agree with that, Pamela. As I was looking through the list, I was getting excited. I was like, oh, I do that. Oh, I do that. Oh, that's on my 411. But then I sat there and I was like, no. Let me narrow this down for a second, because I get so excited to do too many things that I get like analysis paralysis. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't take any action because I'm stuck, because it seems like all a good idea, but what are the things that I'm going to laser focus in and I'm going to perfect my systems in, and then leave all the rest for another time? Like, what actually lines up with my goals for my business in 2026? And I really loved that with each of these sections. And I too did the same thing where I started looking at the team strategies and business to business partnerships and stuff like that too. So it was super helpful with clarity for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, one of the things Pamela just mentioned, 7-step process and how she already implemented it. I did the same thing this morning, and I found out very quickly that although I was really excited about it, it's going to take time. So just something as simple as cleaning up my database, making sure my tags are correct. I started, I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this on Monday. I can do this on Tuesday. And then 30 minutes got in and I did like 20 contacts. And I'm like, okay, this is going to take some time. So being realistic about those goals too. And then putting a plan in place so that you hold yourself accountable to meeting that. Because after we left the room, if you do nothing with it, it serves no purpose. So it was really good.
And I don't remember who it was that was in the room that was saying, we write down our to-do list every day, but we should write down our done list. That way we feel that sense of, because feeling a sense of accomplishment goes a long way. It really does. It gets you excited to keep on doing the next thing.
Now that you mention lists, something that was brought up and I'm actually taking action on is your not to-do list.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, guys, I'm seriously taking action. This is the second time in the last couple of months I run out of toilet paper in my house.
You need a bidet. I have bidets. You need a bidet. That way if that happens, you're okay.
Because I'm always saying, I'm gonna go to the grocery store. I'm gonna go to the grocery store. I'm gonna go. And something always comes up. So I literally did a subscription on Amazon Basics, and I will never, ever run out of toilet paper again. Yeah, I do. I did the Instacart. That's how it arrived this morning, but that's reactive. I want to stop being reactive. I want it to just show up. There's
Yeah.
things I know I need, they're going to show up. So
Yeah.
my not to-do list is also getting big and I'm crossing them off.
So
Love
not
that.
to do list is not buy toilet paper, not rent paper.
So for anyone who doesn't already know what a not to do list is, if you were not in the room or have not coached with me before, I am a big proponent of this, and everyone here can take action on it starting today. So a not to do list is simply all of the things that you do personally and business that don't need to be you. And the funny thing is, we think that all the things need to be us, and they don't. So they need to be your running list that you keep either in the notes on your phone or somewhere easy on your computer that you can get to. And you just write down all of the things that you're doing throughout the day that someone else could get paid less money than how much you should be making dollar per hour to do. Example that I spent way too much time on in the room was if you don't want to do your own laundry because your kids don't care if it's you doing the laundry as long as it's done. And now you can sit down and be present helping them with their homework or present for dinner or something far more valuable for your time with them than doing something as small as that, unless you love it. Right? There are things on your places on your calendar for things that give you energy and inspire you to get the rest of things done in life. So if that's laundry for you, awesome. It's not for me. So just make your not to-do list personally and professionally. And the way you can figure out what your dollar per hour is take how much money you need to make for your gross commission income next year. And if you need help with that, grab time on my calendar and divide it by the number of hours you plan on working for the year. And that's your ideal dollar per hour. Everything less than that goes on your not to do list. Even if you're not ready to hire for it yet, at least you know what you're hiring for.
And it's not the money to take to live. It's not bill pays. It's to live the life you want.
That's right. Yes.
So if you like to get your nails done twice a week, twice a
That
month,
goes on there.
whatever. Yeah, that goes on there.
Yeah, everything. Any other top takeaways from the lead or from taking action on that? I'm very excited about as many people as possible making your not to do list and getting rid of it. Good. Brett?
I'll share real quick because I think as a new agent and having a little bit of that like runway anxiety, right, with the funds, that when we're talking about bigger concepts like that, and you brought up your kids, like the not to do list, like why you're like, okay, I'm going to pay for this to get done. Maybe not right now, but like my kids can do the laundry. My kids can fold the clothes. My kids can do the baseboards, take out the trash and that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's not only benefiting you, but you're teaching them like responsibility, and you can let them know about the not to do list and why they're doing it so that you can put more effort into DPA. And that's giving them like some ownership over helping to bring money into the house. So that's actually been a lot more motivating for them. I had to talk about it with them last night, specifically around this event and that exactly what we were talking about. And it's both of them brought a big bin of laundry down. They never do that. So it gave them so much more ownership on contribution than just harassing them to clean the room or whatever it does. So thank you for that.
Well, you taught them the why behind it. And another thing, don't forget in your business, when you look at your LEAD, if you have things that are lesser dollar per hour than what you're worth, that your kids can help with, you can pay them to do that and deduct that from your profit in your business and not pay taxes on it and use that money to get them the special things that they want. But you're paying them to actually do jobs that should not be you.
That's
Yeah.
actually a goal to reach, to be able to like pay them for those jobs.
Yeah.
And give them bigger jobs. So thank you.
One big thing for me on my not to do list, and Sandra and I have been talking about it probably like forever, is I really need leverage on a lot of the back office stuff that I do. And so after this event, then, I mean, I already knew that I needed it, and I wrote down exactly what I need, and I wrote down a job description over the weekend. So I kind of knew like what I want my person to do, so that when I hire the VA company, then I'm like, here's what I want, so they can find appropriately. Anyway, that's not where I was going with this. Where I was going with is that I had a conversation with my husband, because this is not my business. This is our business. I just happen to be the one that's like working on it. Right. But we had that conversation and I was like, this is what I need. This is why I need them. This is what I want them to do. And then he sat there and he was like, well, he goes, this would be great because like my daughter-in-law is expecting. And so she's planning on being a stay-at-home mom. And he was like, when you get this kind of going and you have your system in place and you have it down, and when she's ready, it would be a great opportunity for her. And maybe she can become in the next year your VA. Not right now because she's not ready. He's like, but he's already kind of thinking like, yes, you do. And who can help you? Like, how do we get this into like a family thing? So that was, so that I think what was important for me is to have that conversation with him, because we're partners in life. And so he needs to be supportive around it and understand the why behind it. So it's a joint decision, I guess.
You're making the decision together.
Yeah.
Pamela?
Talking again about family and the holistic approach, you did offer it and you did promise it in the email, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think we set an example for our children, whether they're boys or girls, it doesn't matter. But I'm so glad to be able to provide them when you have it ready, provide them
In the
that,
next
that
2 weeks.
resource, because they do need to understand that this is not for mommy. You know, what mommy's doing is not just for mommy. We are building their future, you know, and it might take some sort of sacrifice, because I don't believe that you can accomplish these really big goals without letting some things go. We did get to our non-negotiables. So I do know what is never going to be compromised, but they need to be a part of it. They need to understand why we're doing this.
So what Pamela is referring to is I'm going to create a young people's version of the blueprint so that everyone can be equipped, whether it's their own children, nieces, nephews, friends, family, clients, kids, can actually have access to these conversations around choosing to live their life intentionally and in a way that they can understand it. So that is coming up in the next 2 weeks, is my goal. I'm glad you're excited about it. Okay. Anything like as we finish up the day or VIP dinner or the quarterly check-ins, like what are any other things that you want to share with everyone else or remind people of, or the best rest of the parts?
Are we gonna talk about Alice now?
Yes, go for it.
Okay.
She blew my mind. The absolutely best part of this entire evening was the 20 minutes or 15, maybe 15, 20 minutes that I got to share a drink with her at the bar. And the way she just poured into me was life altering. It's funny because she was like, "You're gonna fail. And that's okay. That's why you need to do it." Because I was like, "No, but you don't understand. I can't do this because I can't do this because it needs to be perfect." She's like, "Once you understand that you're going to fail and you're okay with that, you're going to fail forward. It's
Yeah.
fine. Get over that and just do it." And I'm like, "But I'm not ready." She's like, "You're ready." So I loved how just truthful she was. I loved her concept. I definitely want to know more about it. I don't know exactly, this is what I mentioned to her. I don't know exactly how I can fit it into what I already have. But what she made me realize is that I am already, in a way, without knowing it, building the tables. Needs to happen is systematizing that and, having it feed into the business model that I have. But it felt really nice to hear her pour into me and pour into my business and want to understand and want to see me. Like, she offered to help so many times. She really is trying to do something way bigger than just real estate, and that's amazing. So I felt very, very blessed to be able to be a part of that. So that I don't know if anybody else had that one-on-one time with her. I hope you did, because she's amazing. Yeah, that was like the best.
I'm going to share something with you, even though you felt like you were just then having a mindset shift during the day of showing up for yourself and just failing forward. I saw it in when you were choosing how to get to the event, because you communicated with me. This is good for anybody to take note of for yourselves. You communicated with me in a way of like, "Hey, I'm doing this kind of coaching. I'm doing this. I've got a red light, green light," because you're being wise about the way you invest money. And the reason that you had the opportunity to have that time with her is because you chose to invest in a VIP ticket for yourself. And so you actually made that possible for you, because every time we have one of these blueprint events, time to connect with and have small group or one-on-one mastermind time with the speaker will always be included. And you actually chose to make that possible for yourself. Anything else, guys?
I had a really similar experience. A lot of you guys were sitting at the end of the table during the VIP moment with me. And the way I just have to back up for a second, though. No matter what question was asked, Alice had so much wisdom to give. And I am so grateful that we all that were in the VIP room had the opportunity to just surround ourselves with wisdom. There were so many years like between everyone sitting at that table, and everyone had something to give. But I don't know, she she had such grace in her responses, but she knew how to ask the right questions. And it actually inspired me to learn how to ask the right questions just in any conversation, whether with my clients or in a sticky situation, or whether it's with my kids or my husband in general. The way that she asked the questions, it made you stop and think for a second. And in all honesty, you kind of came up with the answer yourself, like a really good therapist, you know? But I shared with her, you know, something that I've shared with Sandra several times about a long-term goal of mine. And she's like, well, what do you need to do to get it started? And every single one of the ladies that were in at the end of the table with me just were like, well, can't you just start it now? Like, what are you waiting for? Like, there's a need now. Just do it. You don't
Yeah.
need like these tens of thousands of dollars and all this capital to get started. Just do it. And I like it really made me truly believe in myself and like the things that I knew that I wanted to do in 2, 3 years down the road. All of a sudden, like my husband and I have already had several conversations about what is step one going to be and when are we taking that step? Just because of being in the room with people that she just had such a way of eliminating the limiting beliefs. And I'm so grateful for that.
Awesome. Anybody else? Anything else special about the VIP experience of the social hour or the dinner that anybody else on here got? It doesn't matter who. Anybody can speak.
Yeah, I think the VIP dinner like really opened up a lot of exposition from the whole day, but just the collaboration that we kind of did. I remember when you took a moment to switch gears to really mastermind the conversations, and that was really beneficial. And like I definitely had some breakthroughs on limiting beliefs throughout the day that kind of like opened up at the end, and I saw it in other people too. I saw people like let go. So it was just like it felt so good to be like, oh my gosh, I'm free of whatever chain this was that was keeping me. But to see it happen to other people was just like so just gorgeous, just so beautiful. And then with that, and we're all emotional and everything, but everyone's like smiling and happy and having fun. So it wasn't like a cry circle, even though it kind of was, but we were like laughing and having a great time. So I just to have an event that has that much impact, where it's not like we're just not sitting here talking about like, oh, it was a really solid event, it was so good, I had some takeaways. It's like, no, like real shifts, like a real trajectory change and real belief that is like changing lives going forward. So yeah, so the dinner was awesome.
And we had some fun too, right? So I really got to like on a fun level connect with the people who were sitting around me and make new friends, and that was
Yeah,
fun.
we got silly and
Yeah, we got
it was
silly and-
great.
I feel like the VIP table broke down some barriers for people too, because I feel like if you're new in this business and, you know, I'm not a 6-month agent anymore, but I still think that I'm pretty new in this business. And it didn't matter if you've been in real estate for 2 months or if you've been in real estate for 20 years, you were all equal and you all brought value to the table. And it didn't matter where you were in your journey. No question was a bad question. And everyone just felt like family and loved on one another. It wasn't like this weird hierarchy or, oh, this person's unapproachable. It was honestly the best vibe ever. And we just had so much fun. And it was just such a great way to just, you know, seal off the evening and to walk away with some incredible relationships. So I'm very grateful for that.
It was.
Well, I'm grateful for all of you guys that said yes last minute to jumping on here and sharing your takeaways. For those of you that haven't really had a chance to speak a lot today, we do have 3 minutes. So those of you who are on here, Diamond, Treva, Tay, I loved getting to sit next to you at dinner. You're amazing. Did you guys have anything that you just wanted to share that wasn't covered today that was from your experience at the event?
I think for me, it was the Me Too. You know, once we got to walk around, because kind of like Ashley said, you just never know. Like I've always been kind of a little intimidated with dealing with, you know, agents has been in for over so many years. But, you know, just from before the VIP, at the VIP, just getting to walk around and knowing people and realizing that you're so much alike in so many ways. Like Ashley, she's all the way in Charlotte, come to find out, you know, her parents are in my hometown. So stuff like that, where, you know, you just really got to meet people, because when we walked in, mind you, I didn't understand how far Sherelle was in, and she was just speaking to everybody. And I'm like, how do you know all these people? And I kind of see why, because it is like a family filled environment.
All
Once
my
you get to meet
friends.
everybody, you know, just comes together.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad you had that experience. We're so happy that you came without knowing what you were saying yes to. Diamond, Treva? No, we already said it all. Perfect. Well, I'm glad that everyone showed up today. Thank you for everyone that shared. Thank you for everyone that attended. For those of you that missed, I hope you got tons of value out of this conversation for yourself Thank you, Peva. And remember to put this Zoom link on your calendar every single Monday because we're going to have a powerful conversation that's going to help you in your business. I have a really great speaker that I'm working on for next Monday that specifically talks about creative ways to get listings sold. And she's in the top of Keller Williams, one of the individual agents. And she also does luxury sales as well. And a couple of you may already know her, but not everybody does, and you're going to get a lot of value. So I'll share it as soon as I have it confirmed with her admin.
Aren't you guys happy that we have somebody who's KW famous that knows all the other KW famous people that can talk to us and teach us things? That's what Sean was referring. He was like, she's KW famous.
Well, now I'm helping people everywhere. I love that we actually had 13 different
Yeah, we
businesses
did.
in the room.
Mhm.
So we had 6 brokerages and several other businesses in the room.
Yeah, I appreciated that as well. And I got to speak to different people from different doing things differently and seeing what works. So that
Yeah.
was nice too.
Awesome. All right, you guys have an amazing week. Thank you for investing your time here, and we can't wait until the event next year. See you guys on Monday.
Bye.
Bye.